All right. Welcome to the art and science of pricing in today's market. As I travel around to a lot of market centers, I can tell you the number one topic is how are we to adjust? What's the skill we need to price our properties better, get paid regardless of what the market is doing on our active listings? And I guarantee you today, you will walk away with tools and techniques to change the balance of your listing inventory, moving it to the pending column so you can get paid, and out of the active column, which in some cases is driving some listing agents to consider working more with buyers. We love buyers. And if you're a listing agent, we want to make sure that you develop those skills to be a great listing agent that moves property and gets paid on it. You'll learn all of that here. I'm going to do a quick share of my screen and we will get underway. Now, as was shared in the opening, I love participation. It tells me that we're tracking with each other. I love you to weigh in and have debates and discussions. It helps us all learn more. It also tells me the people that are asking the questions are also keyed in and leaning in. So, I've hung around Gary a lot, and he is a interrupters rule guy. So if you've got a question, we've got coaches on this call. Robin, I see you. Please jump in. Shelby, Kim, answer any questions you can. Stop me if there's a question that I need to address, and we'll get rocking and rolling from there. It'll make for a better presentation. All right, let's take a look at who am I? Who is the speaker? Michelle, if you could put us on mute, thank you very much. That is awesome. My name is Fritz Pollard. It is hard for me to believe and admit I have almost been in this business for 40 years. I got my license back when dinosaurs were roaming this great land, and it has been a wild and fun ride. A lot of what you're going to see today is 40 years of knowledge dumped into today's call. Prior to being here at the Coaching Nexus, I was one of the directors for MAPS Coaching. I was also an executive coach and a head coach for MAPS Coaching. I was there for about 13 years. I've been 23 years in the coaching business, probably done about 80,000 coaching calls. And still to this day, I am a lifelong learner. Please, great people in our industry continue to raise their game, raise their skills, and stay lifelong learners. Obviously, today we're going to hope to put another notch in that belt, updating your skills around pricing. I'll tell you, one of the things I specialized in was business growth and helping teams scale through leverage. And part of that is how did we do in pricing as a technique and a strategy to move the properties that we were working to list. What a shame to list a home and not get paid for it at the end of the day, not to complete that full cycle of listing to closing. So I love that. In the teams that I work with some very high level teams, some of which were in Gary's top group. You guys can decide by the end of the call if I'm no fluff, high performance that drives results. That's for you to decide. I appreciate the label there. And I just have a passion for what we're doing here. And I guarantee you're going to walk away with some things that are going to help you make some money from today's call. Call that no fluff. I'll take it. All right. Today's focus. Understanding how the market has shifted regarding pricing. We're going to look at old market, which by the way, was 2011 to 2022. That's the market I'm going to encapsulate for just a few minutes. And then we're going to talk about the summer of 22, which is when this shift hit us right in the gut to present today. Once you understand what has changed, you will better be able to mentally go address what is happening. So that's going to be a key part of today's presentation. We're going to master the skills of becoming the local economist. Gary has said for years, you must be your local economist. I'm going to give you the 7 market stats that you must study, pull, and rehearse weekly to win the game of being the local economist. Then we're going to share with you a listing evaluation chart that's going to blow your mind. It's worth the price of admission that if you've got 1 listing or 10 listings, you can start to evaluate which ones we may want to hang on to and which ones we may want to say goodbye to. And then we're going to end with the scripts that are going to make you amazing in the presence of the client. So we're going to cover a lot today. I've got plenty of time. Let's get ready to go. Old market circumstances. I'm going to say this is 2011 through 2022. Let's run through them quickly. If you want to weigh in and I miss some here, please stop me and go, Fritz, you missed one. Okay, number one, you list the property close to the market value. In the old market, you didn't even have to be accurate. Just get close. Next, you put it in the MLS. It sold within 48 hours. You had multiple offers. It sold for more than the list price. The seller was thrilled and you were a hero. Would anyone disagree with me? For the last decade, that has been the listing agent marching orders. Anyone? Raise a hand, challenge, debate. Okay, watch this. Your strongest skill was being a negotiator. I would jump on a coaching call. How was your week? Oh my God, Fritz, you're not going to believe it. We got 30 offers on our listing. And the problem is, well, it's so much paper. I mean, we were order taker negotiators, and I don't mean to take any skill set away from any of you, but when you listed it close to market, got multiple offers, the seller loved you, you were sitting on cloud nine, you were really managing the negotiations. Watch this. On the CMA, our primary focus was the pendings and the solds. And by the way, the market was going like a rocket ship up so quickly that the solds were even out of date. We needed to get that pending inventory because we wanted to see what the neighbor down the street, what the new record was. Now, here's a question I'm going to ask everyone. I need someone to weigh in. What was the pressure on commission in that old market? Was it up or was it down? It's one or the other. Which is it?
It's down.
Down. Why, Kathleen?
Because it wasn't an issue. It wasn't even something that was, it was more like, I don't want to say normal or standard, but it was kind of like normal or standard, that it was what it was. It wasn't an issue until all this came up last year with NAR and so forth. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and it's a good opinion because here's the deal. We were competing against even lower skilled agents, less time in the industry. It was like a race to the bottom of commission because we didn't even have to get the flyers done in most cases. If we really want to be real about it, it sold too quick. So downward pressure on commissions. That's why nobody needs to be depressed at the end of today's call. Because wait until you see the current market, you're going to love the outcome, but you got to have the skills to deliver for the seller. And when you need to are required to provide more skills, the upward direction on commissions follows. Okay, let's look at the current market scenario. Pricing is now a core skill of a listing agent. Features, conditions, and location matter more than ever. This is where we need to have that skill set. I was working with Beth and Steve Ryder before I moved over here to the Coaching Nexus. She said that if there's a yellow line and a home backs to that slightly busier street, it's a $30,000 to $50,000 ding in her market. But she knows that. So if you rolled in using old school market theory, you're going to overprice that property by 30 to 50,000. She's going to get it priced right, get it out of here. So features, benefits, and conditions for that skilled agent way heavier in this current market. But if you've got those skills, you'll get paid more for it. Let's look at the next one. Strong CMA and listing presentation skills are critical. You are going to hear me say today that if you are script practice and role playing your listing presentation, I'm going to ask you to break apart the CMA presentation and study and rehearse that separately, because that is becoming the key to that property moving or not moving. And you need to study and practice that differently. In the old market, we didn't have to be that accurate. The market took care of us. Continue on. You must become the local economist. You won't hear that statement for the last time right here. We're going to talk about that a lot. I'm going to give you those 7 stats to make you the local economist. Walking away from an overpriced listing equals a smart strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, I have worked now through 4 market shifts. We used to consistently say, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I can't help you. Keep my information. I'm available when you're ready to sell your home. We said that all the time. And I'm going to give you some examples of people who had to adjust, and thankfully they did, or they were going to go bankrupt because they had too many unsold listings on the market at one time. All right, now it's a follow-up. In this market circumstance, what's the pressure on commissions? Up or down, given the market I've just described? Kathleen is my commission expert. She's saying up. If you have to bring this set of skills to the table, you can demand more. The discount people are out. They operated in a market where the skills weren't as required. In this market, the pros get paid. And by the way, if you wonder what that may look like, I'm just going to throw out a number. I know we can't fix commissions and all of that, but we may have listing agents that are able to say, hey, if 4.5 or 5 is the way it used to go overall, and again, I know we've got new rules and regulations, but I work in California. We got people in different parts of the country. We even see people moving above the average because they are able to get the outcomes that the average agent isn't. So please understand, they may actually be upward and move up consistently and statistically because of these skills. So there's our last item. So we've just now compared old market to new. Thoughts, comments, questions? Kathleen right now gets the gold star. She's amazing. All right, let's keep going. Here are 5 skills you need to master today, and we will cover these as we go through the presentation. Number 1, as I said, you're going to hear it a lot today. You need to become the local economist. You need to know your market better than any other agent in the market. Yet I always struggled, well, what does that mean? How do I become the local economist? You will understand that by the time we're done today. Practice your CMA presentation as much as your listing presentation. It's about selling the seller on where the market is. That is a skill required for this current market. Number 3, we're going to cover the scripts. There's a very important bracketing price script that starts with your home, or correction, this home is better than yours. I'm going to cover it when we get to the script section, but your ability to be a master of the scripts in this market will cause you to get paid more, and you will get better outcomes. Number 4, in the CMA, closed, pended, secondary. Your primary CMA market focus is on the neighbors. It's now a focus on the active competition, not the closed and pended. It's just what the market is requiring. And as we head into spring and summer, we're going to see those activity or those actives moving up, and you will have a much clearer picture of what a qualified buyer may be looking at in addition to your listing. That's where we need to start to position our pricing strategy. And finally, pricing below the last sale becomes suggested. Now, the 7 market stats are going to tell you ballpark where you need to be. But again, walking out of a listing appointment without the listing is a strong strategy. Pricing that listing below the last sale is a conversation we haven't had for over a decade. But I'm going to get you set up so you can go in and assess their motivation before we lay that on them. But this is a skill. How do you do that and still walk out the door with the listing? This is why we need to develop that muscle. Okay, so we've looked at both markets. We've looked at the skills that you now need to have. Before I jump into the guts of this thing, any questions? Kathleen, how are you doing? Kathleen's doing
Yeah.
amazing.
Doing pretty good. Thank
She's
you.
already making price reduction appointments
Yes.
before we've even gotten off the call. I love it.
I'm taking notes and I snapped a picture so I can remember.
I love it. Well, get ready. You're going to need to snap more pictures. We'll also send out these slides. Okay, here are the 7 stats that will make you invincible. We're going to go over the stats, and then I'm going to give you some examples of what my own clients were doing on a weekly basis, and then we can talk about the script practice and role play to become really good at these. So each week, you are going to pull from the market area that you serve. That could be a large city, it could be a county, but it needs to be relevant to the market that you serve and is a predictable influx of a buyer and a seller in and out. Some people will get sidetracked on this. Well, should I run my whole county? I don't know. How big is your county? If you ran Orange County, California, it's got 19 cities. Too big. We may run 3 cities of the 19 because that's where a buyer may be looking: school district, freeway access, and so on. So whatever you decide to be your region of search, save that in the MLS so it is a consistent run and review set of numbers for you. So the first one is going to be new listings for that week, followed by the total active inventory available at your runtime. You'll do that each week. Average days on market for your search area. Now we're going to separate condos and townhomes from single family residence. This is a apples to apples search criteria. So new listings, total available, average days on market, new pendings. This tells me where a buyer and seller have come to an agreement. New closings for the week, expireds, withdrawals, and canceleds for the week, and then price reductions for the week, all in that search area. All of these are weekly runs with the exception of the total active inventory. That's just the total on the run date. Okay, any questions on these 7 stats that you will save in your MLS and you will run weekly like a religion?
I have 2 questions.
Fire away.
So average days on market, do we want to stick to average or can we stick to median?
I'll show you the client that did this for me. They ran them both. Now,
Okay.
Josh, I love the question because some of you are going to look at this and go, hey, I can manage the description and the discussion of each. It's, are you able to articulate it to the client and not confuse them? Okay, next question.
Expireds and withdrawals, do we also include cancels in that or just
I do.
expireds and withdrawals?
I do. Little tight on text space here, but I like to say anyone that had an unsuccessful outcome after listing, we need to know about. Somebody could have dropped the ball. Now, there's always other circumstances, but I like anything that was on and came off. Great questions, Josh.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? I'll tell you what, Kathleen and Josh are killing it right now. They're all in. They'll make money by the end of the week. They're leaning in. Okay, let's take a look at what this look. Oh,
I have a
yep,
quick
go
question.
ahead.
Do you do this for different price ranges too? Like,
Okay, you could with an asterisk. Those of you that work luxury and maybe luxury plus, so like I'm going to just use my world. In Orange County, California, we have Newport Beach, we have Huntington Beach on the water. Those are probably worthy of a separate run, but here's what I would do. I would run the overall kind of general area. Maybe I pick my 3 cities out of the county, and then I'll run a separate one, those 3 cities with luxury, because you can start to see trends, and you'll see it in my next slide. You can start to see trends develop that may help you in the luxury discussion, or you may say luxury has slowed. The rest of the market is still hot. We've got to get that luxury listing down at the upper end of the hot market. And you can actually use that as a tool of education and then ultimately action. Does that make sense? I
Yes.
love it. Rocking and rolling. All right. Here is a live client of mine, Matt and Molly, Asheville, North Carolina. I love them to death. Had to say goodbye to them, moving over here to the Coaching Nexus. But this is their weekly chart. Now, they track 5 counties, and you will see here are the 7 categories, and here is each week in December. We looked at these every single week on our coaching call, because as their trusted coach, knew their market, we were looking for opportunities to excel, to separate ourselves from the competition and win. So let's go over one of these. By the way, please ignore me just being a coach for just a split second. And I'm coaching all of you, which is a challenge, but I love it. If we were in Buncombe County, and on the 2nd, the 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th of December, and you saw our total actives moving in this direction, what would be something you might talk to a seller about? What's happening?
There's not as much inventory.
Yeah.
People are probably coming off the market because of the holiday. As it gets close to
Yes.
the holiday, people are coming off the market, which gives
Jen,
them
thank you. It's called what a normal December market is. So I could, as a coach, go, yeah, that's kind of normal. What else is going on? But I noticed something. Look at what's happening with the pendings. What's happening there?
Not as many people are buying.
Okay.
Or
But watch
they're
week
tracking-
over week.
they're tracking with the inventory.
They
As the
go-
inventory is being
Yeah.
removed, the pendings are going down.
Okay. But watch, look at what peaked mid-month. I mean, this kind of jumped out at me. I was ready to go, okay, what else do we need to work on today? Inventory's dropping. New listings, they definitely dropped off the middle of the month. But look what happened. 54, 55, and then 69, middle of December. I don't know why that happened. All of my clients were getting ready for holiday parties and everything else. So if you were the listing agent monitoring this, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, oh, by the way, Matt and Molly tracked this for years. We could go back and look at what normally happened in December because we're strategists. There might have been an argument here. Let's look at what happened with price reductions. Whoa, look at the peak in price reductions and look at the peak in pendings.
Could pendings
So
and price reductions have gone up because people wanted to close before the end of the year?
Who knows? It would be a little tight, but maybe they just wanted to be pending by the end of the year. So what I want you to see is data. We hear about data in a lot of other industries. Data might have had a coach or a listing agent look at this and go, you know what? We're seeing the competition drop off, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Inventory is going down, which it normally does, but there's still a fairly brisk number of buyers running around out there, and it looks like somebody's making a hard push. 86 price reductions probably fed 69 deals. So let's forget about the fact that it's Christmas or it's the holidays. We can still get aggressive now. Have you ever had a client want to pull their home off the market during the holidays?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So now all of a sudden, knowledge and data, hey, maybe we make one last push. Let's get this price where it needs to be. Our competition is heading for the hills for the holidays. And let's now go get that buyer running around wanting to do something before the end of the year. Now we can take our normal industry norms and counter it with analytics that may cause us to do something different than taking it off. And let's just go get back on the market in spring when everyone else is coming on. Jen, what's your question?
My question is, for pending, are you grouping anything that's under contract as pending? So active
Yes.
option contract, okay,
Yep.
just want to be
Now,
clear.
hey, listen, you have a little creative resource here. So if you look at this and you go, I would rather run it, in a different way, just you need to be able to explain it and justify it. Which is why I want you scheduling at least weekly, if not multiple times a week, the actual CMA portion of your presentation, where you would potentially have a role play partner going, no, we really want to enjoy the holidays. And you go, no, look at this pendings, because my pendings are, pendings with contingency or whatever the different categories are. You just need to be able to explain it and make your point. Great question. Okay, anyone else? This is a great group. I mean, Shelby told me this was going to be a great group. Okay. All right. You're going to get a copy of this. This is just what they did. By the way, they had their staff pull this. I mean, that's a lot of data to pull for an individual agent, but they're doing, well into the hundreds of transactions. They had staff people pull this, and then I'd sit down with the team and we go, what is this telling us? Okay. Keep going. Now, how can we get out of any discussion without talking about ChatGPT? Decades ago, when we started tracking these 7 stats, I was using my own eyes and my own analytical approach, just like I just showed you. Today, it's a different day. Now we can have someone else, a partner, help us break down this information. So I'm going to take this thing off share. Shelby, by the way, the coaching Nexus, we have named our chat GPT. Shelby, what's its name?
Sparky.
Sparky.
Is the third person on the operations team.
Love Sparky.
Sparky is definitely a well-used individual.
Well, and Sparky doesn't come to the Christmas party.
No.
So it's low cost, but high value. So tell everyone really quickly, if you took those stats that I just showed everyone as an example, how we could use ChatGPT to create the dialogue with the client.
So I would just add that, yes, whether you love or not love yet AI in your world, it is here to stay. So the faster you embrace it and start using it, the better off you're going to be. So the prompt that was on the screen.
Here, I'll put it back up.
Oh no, I'm gonna take your screen from you. So the prompt that's on the screen, I took the exact prompt, copied it in, and then just paste your spreadsheet. So you don't even have to upload it. You can if you want, but a screenshot works as well. And it will evaluate and ask you and answer questions for you in literally 1 minute. So embrace it, use it.
It's absolutely a tool that I didn't have back in the day. And let me just go back one. So if you go and just took this and loaded this in with these prompts, stand back and let it do its magic. Now, I'm not saying you have to use all of it, but maybe it sparks a different way of thinking that allows you to change the dialogue with the client. Okay, questions, thoughts, concerns before we move on? God, you're good. You guys are really good. I'm telling you, we're going to make hay with this. And so just lean in. We got more coming, and then we'll wrap up and do your questions. Okay, this is worth the price of admission. I got to tell you the backstory as to where this came from. In 2006, 7, 8, I was coaching an agent by the name of Karen Bernardi out of Denver, Colorado. The market sucked at that time. She had over 120 active listings while I was working with her. Some would say, what's the problem with that? None of them are moving. Think about the signage in the lock boxes to just get that visible. And we didn't have any social media. I mean, we weren't too hep on social media. I mean, it just didn't exist. So one of the things I was struggling with as her coach is, what do we do? These things were bankrupting her. In fact, if you think about Monday morning in the good old days with voicemail and 120 listings aren't moving, what do you think that voicemail sounded like? I mean, no one even wanted to go to the office. So we had to get tactical about how we evaluated our listings. What you are seeing here is what came out of that discussion. So let's take a quick look at this. By the way, I'm going to hit you with a QR code in a minute. You can download this. And if you've got 1 listing, 10 listings, or 20 listings, please start using this now. It will help you process who you need to be spending more time with and who we may need to be moving out of your listing inventory. So here's how it goes. Address, 4 gauging criteria. First one is the motivation of the seller on a scale of 1 to 10. It's number 1 for a reason. This is where we're either going to keep this client or where we're not. A 10 is it had to be sold yesterday. By the way, you're going to know this client because they're going to be in your ear a lot. Don't look at that as a negative. Reframe that as, this person's a 10. They should be acting like this. They're expecting a different outcome than I'm providing. I need to embrace the 10s. I told Karen the same thing. The ones screaming and yelling on Monday morning, those are your 10s. So you will rate and rank all of your motivations. 10 is it had to be sold yesterday. 1 is they don't call you for anything. When they're not communicating with you, that's another sign. Please understand the signs. We want more 10s. Then you put in the price that would cause it to sell today. It's a private mental discussion about where the market is. What would you list it at to get an offer today? I don't need the seller's input. I don't need anything else. It's just a benchmark of where the market is. Please put in your abridged version of what you think the price is that would cause to sell today based on CMA. So we got motivation, scale of 1 to 10, price that would cause it to sell today, condition of the property on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is model perfect. 1 is it needs to be rebuilt. By the way, Shelby's done an amazing job putting different categories in the drop downs to kind of help guide you a little bit. And then accessibility. 10 is 24/7 accessibility. Now you got to call and set appointment and all that. But I'm telling you, sometimes in the old school market, the seller could be restrictive. Today, it needs to be like a department store. Anyone that's in town, corporate relocation, doesn't matter. They need to be able to see this property with little disruption. Meaning, oh, you got to wait till tomorrow. Oh, we got to put, our pit bull in the pound. Give us a couple of days. That doesn't work in this market. Now, Shelby's got it set up where it averages out the price. You could put agent notes. This is where you're going to start to decide who needs to stay in your inventory and who needs to be moved out. I'm telling you right now, if the motivation is a 7 or below, you may have to start thinking about a different approach. Now, I'm being kind of high level here because a 8 and above will normally not be happy about the price that will cause it to sell, but they'll be open to it because of their motivation. So this is a hugely important criteria for your listing business. Let me go back to Karen Bernardi. We filled this out. All of the staff was prepped and primed. Our goal, now this is coming from their coach, was to give back 1 listing a day. Yes, the coach was saying, give back a listing a day. We were also taking a new listing a day, and then through price reductions, we were selling a listing a day. I needed a 3-fer. We got a sign back. We got a lockbox back. We put it on the new listing we took, and we were saying goodbye to one of our listings. Now, this became a really important point. I'm going to come off a share here for a minute. It was important, though, how we said goodbye to the listing that we couldn't help. And that's how the script went. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on where you are right now in motivation and need for price, the market is not supporting what you need. I am your agent, and I will be the first to reach out to you the minute we get back to that point. Plus, I'll be checking in with you throughout the quarter, the rest of the year, whatever that touch campaign looks like. We didn't want to say goodbye to them. Just we wanted to say goodbye to their circumstances that caused them not to be where we could serve them. And we held on to most of these listings. We stayed in touch with them with our campaign. They appreciated us being honest. If they're low motivation, they appreciate you being truthful with them. So please understand that we are giving them the gift of truth, that having open houses and people traipsing through their home and looky-loos and the whole thing was serving nobody. Now watch this. We started then sending out the weekly market stats. We started educating the client. Guess what then started to happen? Without us having to even reach out to the client, what do you think they started to do? 120 plus listings,
Calling,
educate the seller. What was that?
getting excited, getting interested.
Being
Yeah.
more selective about the listings they took?
Well, the Karen was getting very selective about the listings she took. But when we started educating 120 listings with these 7 market stats, what do you think they started doing?
Seeing how they could price better.
And they were calling us for the reduction.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Karen goes, Fritz, you're not going to believe it. I got 5 price reduction calls today. I'm now having to train my staff on how to manage the price reduction and get it into the computer. And we were teaching them. Now, remember, rules, laws, regulations change. But when we educate our clients times 120, we were taking a load of work off of Karen because she couldn't meet with these people weekly. We could barely handle the complaint calls. Now, all of a sudden, they were calling us for the price reduction. So please understand, wrap your arms around the value of this market and how you can work within this market. Now we got Chat GPT. We've got the listing evaluation, the 7 stats. You're going to become an absolute phenom in this business and welcome it to become more challenging. All right.
Question.
Thoughts? Yeah, fire away.
I know you can't see me. I haven't figured that out why, but regardless, when you're looking at doing these price reductions and the customer is now seeing it and understanding it, is there a percentage? Should it be 2.5%, 5%, 15% each time, and how often?
Great question. I guess it would depend on how far we missed the market in the early listing and how quickly it may be sliding. By the way, there are some markets that are still moving up, not massively, but moving up just a little bit, or they're staying steady. But this is why you need to understand your market. I will go back to some old school, remember 40 years in the business. It used to be if you were getting no showings, you were 10% off. Okay, run the 10% number. See if that matches up against an updated CMA. If you were getting showings and no offers, 5%. Now, I will tell you this, Beth and Steve Ryder, in her luxury market, she would decline price reductions of less than 100 grand. She said, I'm not going to waste my time. And by the way, what message does that send? Well, we'll drop at 30,000. Sorry, it won't really change the overall marketing opportunity here. Let's hold off on that price reduction. Let's see how we do this next week. And when we come back together next week and do our update, we'll see if you're ready for the 100 grand price reduction. This is about agents becoming very firm and confident about migrating the client through a challenging market. We're going to become more, wait till we get to the scripts, you're going to become a little bit more firm than you're used to. So maybe it's a 10% drop, maybe it's 5, maybe 2.5 gets you there. But you're going to know your market better when you're tracking these stats weekly. Great question. Anything else? Okay, here is the QR code. Hit this QR code. You will download that chart that I just went over.
The QR code doesn't work, but it's in the chat.
Fiddle. Okay. Welcome to technology. Thank you for that.
Hey, Fritz.
Okay,
regurgitating what you just said. You say if you're not getting any showings, you're 10% too high, but if you're getting showings but no offers, you're 5% too high?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a benchmark. Use it as a benchmark, apply it to the CMA, and let that settle in. If we took it way high in the beginning, we got some work to do.
Fritz, real quick before you move on, there's a lot about the link. So the link that you have is a copy link. So when you click that link, it should ask you to make a copy. Click that blue button that says make a copy, and then that's your copy. It should open for you after you click the blue make a copy button.
That worked for me, Shelby.
Okay, perfect.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, let's get to some pricing scripts. We'll wrap up with questions, and we've got some other things that we want to share with you. So I see 3 categories that we need scripting in. And by the way, they're all the same, but they are different in the life of a listing. When we take the listing, it's always been a good theory. Get your first price reduction when you take the listing. You'll know the range of pricing. If you feel like you got talked into a little higher price than you wanted, and time is of the essence, and that motivation level is in that 8, 9, or 10 level, try to get that first price reduction before you leave. Number 2, when we're getting price reductions, we're managing our scripting around that. And then don't forget about negotiating offers. Sometimes you get the offer and you need to work on a price reduction through the negotiations. If it doesn't come together, see if you can get the price reduction in and around where you were negotiating the price. So there are 3 different categories that I want you to be skilled around as we talk about pricing. Now, or we talk about scripting. I literally went back to a seminar that I was at in 2009 and pulled these scripts. 2009. So understand, you're going to feel a very different, it was even a more challenging market. I mean, the economy was in the tank. A lot of the bank failures were all over the place. You had, there's just a lot of challenging time back in that market. So you're going to feel a little bit of a weightiness to these scripts. You edit and adjust them, but don't change them too much. We do need to be stronger in front of the client. So let's get started. So building trust with the market truth. One of the people on stage, as I was taking notes in 2009, said, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on the stats that we know to be true, she said there wasn't always a lot of trust with the salesperson and the client. So I had to get in the habit, she said, I remember this as clear as day, that when I present market stats, I needed to say, based on these stats that we know to be true. They came right out of the MLS. We didn't make them up. So that may be a good way to set the tone. Next script. We find that clients want to blame, agents want to blame. She clearly said, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, she also referenced, I apologize for what the market has done to us. Because we are homeowners too. She said, I created this allegiance with my client. The market is at fault. Now let's take a look at how do we work within those parameters. So these 2 kind of jumped out at me as being very relevant. We haven't had to use these for the last decade. Let's continue on. Position the reality of today's market. I love this one. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, your home is beautiful. It's a beauty contest. And at the same time, it's a pricing war. Let's look at the competition that you're up against. Whoop, out come your active listings, meaning the active listings in the marketplace. It's a beauty contest. Everyone believes that their home is the nicest on the block, and it may be, but it's a pricing war. You go back to that evaluation chart, scale of 1 to 10 motivation. Maybe it's not a 10 in beauty. Maybe it's a 6.5. Gives you an opportunity to maybe get some upgrades if they want to push the price at all. But it's a beauty contest and a pricing war. Number 4 script. Buyers are coming to see your beautiful home, yet they're just not seeing the value. Man, that can be a tough script to get out of your mouth. But at the end of the day, you all know the listing that we have to have that conversation with. Set them up for the fact that this is normal communication in the life of a listing. I'm going to be educating you each week with these market stats. We're going to be looking at the analysis of that. And then I'm going to be asking you some tough questions around where your motivation is, condition of the property. Let them know this is coming. We keep going. Reframing the seller's mindset. I love this one. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you knew your home would be worth 600 in October, would you take 650 today? Now you put the time frame in there. You put the level of today versus in the future. But I'll tell you what, you start studying your market, you will be able to predict the decline if there is one, the leveling out if there is one, and be very much closer to being able to make scripted comments like this. But this will get their attention. You want to write it out? I may not be able to protect that bottom line as best I can today.
Hey, Fritz, that's Robin.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's a really great place to use ChatGPT too. So if you use your month-over-month trends, you can put it in there and ask what that home on this,
Thank you.
what would that home be worth 2 months? 3
Thank you. Use this technology, but just pulling the stats is the start. Dump it into this now massively important tool is step 2. And then number 3 is practice those scripts on how you present it like a pro. You'll be like, a shifting market? Who cares? I'm here to do what's best for my client, increase their bottom line regardless of what the market does. I'm just better presenting what the market's doing. Let's
Hey,
look at this
Fritz,
script. Yes, go ahead. Who was
quick
that?
question on this script number 5, where you're talking to them. If you knew it would be then coming up, would you take this today? Is this the standard kind of conversation to have when they're overpricing and they're saying, no, but I want 750, and you're like, yeah, but the market doesn't really? And is this how you help them see that?
Maybe. What I would suggest you do is go back to their motivation first, because
Okay.
that's the driving core. Okay. And by the way, there's sometimes you just whoop, you close the CMA. Let's push that aside. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when I sat down 30 minutes ago, you said it was super important that you move from Orange County down to San Diego. Has that changed? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it? What if, let's say it's a job relocation, really dig into the meat of the motivation. You said you needed to be down for the job, starting in August. What if this home wasn't sold? Explain to me how we play that game. Again, get into this because they may need to hear themselves say it, and then we come back to the price. I'm telling you what, you got to love this market. This is human dynamic. It's high level selling, at the highest level. And the ones that do it well will move through this market with grace and elegance. But we are going to have to improve our skill set. So I love what you said. I would go back to motivation and say, where is it? Did I miss something? Are they really not as motivated because they keep fighting for a price we can't deliver? That's a great question. Okay. Script number 6. Surveys and studies said that this is something we need to take into consideration. When you talk with the buyer, it's a price reduction. It's almost like they have to hear that to move forward. When it's a seller, price correction. It just lands differently. Again, new lingo. Okay, shifting the conversation with comparisons. Okay, so this is the listing presentation to bracket and bookend pricing. You take 3 comps in. This is what I want you to practice and get scheduled as a regular routine. You're going to have a nicer listing, top end of the market, a not so nice listing, bottom end of the market, and then one is just like theirs. In those very rough times of a shifting market, they're 2006, 7, 8, 9, we were literally practicing and role playing as coach and client. This exact piece, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's talk about price. This listing, we'd slide that in front of them, is nicer than yours. So we set a bracket at the top end. Now they probably wanted that price and more, but it set a very soft boundary at the upper end. Oh, yeah, it's got an extra bedroom. It's got an extra bath. Sold, it's pending, it's whatever it is, but it sets the upper end and it starts to kind of recalibrate their thinking. Mr. and Mrs. This home, not as nice as yours. One less bedroom, one less bathroom. Maybe it's on a busier street. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this home is just like yours. So it starts to bookend and bracket that range that you want to work within versus saying, okay, so what do you guys want to list at? Dangerous scripting in this marketplace. So this is how you set the upper and lower end. This is what I want you though to practice. Now you got to know the 3 listings you bring out are relevant and comparable, which is why we go back to the 7 market stats and your understanding of that local market so that we present 3 properties that make sense. Practice what we're preaching here, and it flows very easily in front of the client. And then I love,
question.
yeah, go ahead. Fire
I'm
away.
sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no.
When you come in with the CMAs, one above, one at, and one below, do you first, as you're getting all their motivations and understandings of this, do you first ask them what they need to get out of their house? For example, a net sheet kind of thing, or what are they looking for, or however we word it, and then come in with the top, middle, and bottom?
That will be a tactical decision.
Okay.
You just had me reminded of, and again, when you've been in the business for 40 years or close to it, we used to come in with the net sheet because most of the sellers were having to bring money in. It was before the short sale days. I'll never forget, a 1-bedroom condo seller had to bring in $30K to close.
Oh my God.
So we started with the net sheet because I needed to know up front, you guys got the money? And in this case, they went and they got their bank statement. And they said yes, and they brought 30 grand in to close a 1-bedroom condo. Now they got a killer deal on their next purchase because that market wasn't any better. But I think at some point you got to read the tea leaves, get their loans, have a ballpark idea, but be careful backing into a price you may regret taking. And again, there's all kinds of, everything we've covered today will hopefully keep you from doing that. I'm putting the art and the science in your hands so that you don't get a listing under, in your inventory that you regret. So taking the seller to the competition, another great way of letting them walk through listings that may ultimately be similar to theirs, nicer than theirs, not as nice, if you are looking to really dial in that pricing. And last but not least, this was from January. 60% of the active listings in January had at least 1 price reduction, and another 40% as of January, so we're looking like 5 months ago, had at least 2. This might also be another great stat to monitor as you go after a price reduction that potentially a client doesn't want to give you, but they're getting priced out of the market because they're not moving and everyone else is. So again, just some stats to be aware of. So we've looked at the old market, new market, how to become the local economist with the 7 market stats, using scripting and strengthening that to have more success and outcome in front of the client, and then positioning yourself as the trusted advisor. So here's your homework. Oh my God, we went to a training call, we got homework. Yes, I want you to pull your 7 market stats for the last 7 days just to see where you're at in the market areas you run in. I want you to run it through AI, see what that tool tells you. Fill out all active listings in your listing comparison chart and find a role play partner that you can start working on some of this new style of presenting with maybe a little bit different language until it feels secondary and comfortable to you. Okay. Comments, thoughts, questions on any of that?
Fritz, I got a question.
Yeah.
You've been joining us on the Monday Stats call. You shared with us the 7 tactics for this market as it relates to real estate stats. Are there some of those economic stats that we should become pros of in our local economies?
Maybe. And here's what I'm going to say. You must master the ability to present them and make them make sense. We deal with clients from all different industries, CPAs, accountants. They may look at that and go, oh yeah, I get it. Sometimes we go in and we confuse, and we're never headed in a good direction when we're confusing our client. So I think less is more. Present what you can present powerfully and make it meaningful to them. And if you can't, don't throw it in there just to say, look at everything I know. Because if you're confusing them, they'll lose track of what the point of that meeting is, and we will be no further ahead. But that's a great point, Robert.
Fritz, I have a question.
Yeah, fire away.
Hi. So it seems like just recently we're all getting together and talking about our listings, and the buyer agents refuse to give any feedback. And we're told that brokers are telling their agents that it's a confidentiality thing. They don't want to share feedback. And, for years we've preached to the sellers, we're going to give you constant feedback.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you
And back in my day when we were, using smoke signals to communicate, we really relied on that. So maybe we need to look at the way feedback is being given. For me, I need to be on the phone. Hey, you just showed the home. What'd you guys think? Are you bringing in an offer? I mean, again, I'm proactive on this. Well, I don't feel comfortable sharing. Okay, well, let me ask you, are you writing an offer? Do I need to get the sellers ready? We have an offer coming in. I always partnered with the other side because together, if we win, everybody gets paid. So I would look at how you could show up differently, given maybe that hesitation. And then I always like asking the obvious. If we could put a deal together, what would be the harm in you telling me what you think? I don't know. I can get a lot further when I'm one-on-one with the client and I'm reminding them that a commission check's hanging in the balance for both of us. Well, the house smelled like dog. Thank you. It will be corrected in 72 hours. Seller, we just got feedback. If we remove the smell, would they be interested? I'm already negotiating. I think we need skills around being humans again and communicating. And remember, I don't care what flag you fly into your company. We do a deal, we both get paid. But it's a great question because a lot of rules and laws are changing. And I want to work with the pros that see an opportunity to not break the law, but get a deal together.
Deborah? Hey, Deborah, can I reply to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm new. I work at Ellis, Keller Williams, Ellis County with Kathleen Hopgood. But Deborah, I have a buyer who's very slow on doing what he needs to do, but still wants to see homes. So we've lost a few, but that's okay because they're still not the right one, right? The right one's out there. I just took him to see one a few days ago, and this one, he wants to make an offer finally. And he's like, okay, I will call the mortgage company tomorrow. And I'm like, finally, yay, maybe I'll get a deal. But I need to reach out to the seller and let them know what we saw and what we liked without dropping all of our information, so that they can use it against us, kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm trying to find that fine line.
Well, call the agent and say, listen, we're interested. What do I need to know to get a successful deal?
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, we've got to get back to communicating. I mean, listen, I was new in the business when the fax machine showed up in our office. We didn't even know what to do with it. I put my coffee on it. I go, oh, this is a nice thing. It holds my coffee. But the minute the fax machine showed up, we stopped communicating then. It's even gotten worse. Pick up the phone, be a great communicator and a great networker, and you will put more deals together just because of that.
I will call them today.
Great questions. Okay, I just real quick, I'll stay on as long as we need to. I just want to respect the top of the hour. We put a quick little survey up here. This was our first coach hosted performance series meeting. I have 17 amazing coaches skilled in luxury, database, AI, life coaching, ADHD coaches. I mean, we can coach on anything, transformational performance. They are also great trainers. This is a very quick 2-question survey about what we're going to host for next month. You're going to tell us what topic you want. So hit this thing. It'll ask you what the main challenge or opportunity you have, and then you click any boxes that are topics that you need, and we will literally bring that topic to you on week number 4, Wednesday in June. Last but not least, we are a coaching company. If you liked anything you heard and having an accountability partner, we are here for you. We are part of the Go Network, and we are looking to support the Go Network. Robin Aldo, by the way, hit that scan or that QR code if you'd like to schedule a business audit. It's free. It's no obligation. We just want to see if we can create a partnership opportunity. Robin, are you on the call?
I am.
So this is Robin Aldo. She
Hello.
works in our business development department. She would be the ones fielding any inquiry around investigating coaching. Guys, even if you heard anything today that even resonated at all, imagine if you had someone each week checking in on your progress, answering your questions. We are here for you. So Robin is your go-to. Hit that QR code for a free business audit. Robert, what do you have?
Question. I was talking to a couple of agents yesterday. We've all got listings, and we're all talking about the idea that, prior to the election, everybody was kind of on hold with respect to what the result's going to be. Are we seeing that same kind of dynamic as a result of what's going on in the world with all this tariff stuff? Are buyers just generally on hold because they don't know what's going on?
I'm going to answer that question of my 40 years of experience is we like to make a lot of that mean something. At the end of the day, when a seller needs to sell and a buyer needs to buy, we have a transaction. It's marriage, it's death, it's having babies, it's relocating for jobs. Please, please, please watch your mindset around making too much out of what's happening in the world. It changes by the day. So motivated sellers want to sell. You put them on a chart as a 9 or a 10, go get the price reduction deposit to sell, interact with buyers that are acting like this agent's buyer, and go put that deal to bed, and then go get the next one.
Thank you.
That would be my comment on that.
Thank
All
you.
right, man, you have been a great group. I'll stay on if you want me to. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? We got hands. Robert's got another question.
No,
Thanks,
I'm not.
Blake. Okay, you good?
Of course. Yeah, quick question for you, Fritz. I know at the beginning we were talking like maybe county or city level, right? And on these, it sounds like these 7 stats that we're sharing are particularly with our sellers, right? So is it too hyper local to be focusing on the neighborhood and the active competition there, or should we be getting a little bit more broad?
I would do it in categories. So I would look at the local community, I would look at the
Okay.
broader city, and then I'd look at the county. As we've talked about a couple of times, and Blake, it's a great question. Don't confuse yourself before we roll in and confuse the client. So if the local city doesn't create the trend, it's not going to help you. So you may need to pull back a little bit to possibly, from the local community to the city. You've got to be able to see enough data to see the trend.
Mhm.
And so that's what I would suggest doing. In that luxury price point, I have found a lot of clients are going to make the point that I'm luxury, I've got a boat dock. And by the way, that's a unique scenario. So you may need to sector that group out. But I think in general, become a student of the information, pull back to the point where you can make your strongest trend-based point. And then you'll start to get your rhythm down, areas that you can go super local. Here's the challenge. You may not have any pendings in the local city. You may need to pull back into the larger city view to even see what's moving. It doesn't help you if you can't create a trend from it. And some of these data points, there's just not enough info there. Great question.
Thank you.
Great stuff. All right, Anna. Anna says, bravo, bravo. Listen, if you guys put in your survey that we need more classes on this topic, we will bring you more classes on this topic. If you say, well, that was great, I got all I need to know there, but I need to move over here a little bit, we will bring you what you want. We are here to serve. We are here to partner. And by the way, someone mentioned about this is for sellers. Do not be afraid to use these market stats with buyers, because some of these stats suggest the buyer needs to be in the market too. What works for one generally works for the other. It's just the opposite side of the script. Develop the skill to get there, and you win with one set of scripts in both clients. The smartest group I've talked to all year, without doubt. I'll take you on the road with me. All right? So I'm here for you. The Coaching Nexus is here for you. Robin is here for you. Our staff is here for you. Even Sparky's here for you. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next month. Complete that survey so we know what to bring you. And I guarantee it will knock your socks off each month. You show up, you tell us what you need, we'll bring it.
Thank you, Fritz.